In Proverbs chapter 17, verse 25. Don't bring chaos to the house, children. In Proverbs 17:25, this is what it says. A foolish son is a grief to his father. That's true. There's no more grief to a father than to see his son falling away. There's none. I cried so hard when we cannot find Dean. Actually, Dean really what? About to graduate in high school, when he just vanished in our place and I cannot find him anywhere in our subdivision. I'm already crying. I'm even looking for those legs that I'm thinking my son might be drowned. Golly. The inkling of thinking that my son will be lost, shoo, I could not even bear for a father. But imagine that you have a foolish son. Oof, I cannot bear to see that. So a foolish son is a grief to the father and a bitterness to her that bear him. Son, you're walking in a fine thread. Don't do it. The promise will not be in you. The promise said you will have a long life. But if you do that, make your parents cry for no good reason, mercy be on you, son. Please. That's why he said in Ephesians, let's go to the book of Ephesians. This is what Apostle Saul said to the children. Let's go jump quick to the so-called New Testament. I'm hoping and praying, though this one will be long, I'm hoping you will be listening to the end. In Ephesians chapter 6, starts at verse 1, it says, children, all of you, Miracle in Moriah, the favorite name for today, obey your parents in the Elohim, for this is right. Now, you cannot find any word better than that, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother. Now, and there's a close parenthesis that explains to you which is the first commandment with promise. Third, that it may be well with thee, that thou mayst live long on the earth. So children, I told my children way back then, as long as you are in my house, you follow my rule. And whatever mistakes you did until you are still in my house, the buck stops on me. I will take it. But the moment you are there, you are on your own, son. You are on your own, daughter. But until then, what mama said, what papa said, do it. It is for you. In Proverbs chapter 1 verse 8, here's another one, children. And later I will chastise the parents too. Don't worry, children. You will get your due. In Proverbs chapter 1 verse 8, my son, hear the instructions of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. So again, it is telling us here that children, no matter what you think of your parents, and by the way, they are not your friends. And parents, don't treat your children as if they are your friends. Otherwise, you lose the goal of putting them in place in their path to kingdom, in their way home. Hallelujah. Now let's go back to Genesis 37 verse 3. Here's another story. You know, this is the first book, and yet tells us a lot of story, my dear brothers and sisters. How to treat your wife, how to treat your husband, how to be a good parents. In Genesis 37 verse 3, here comes another problem that we created in the house. Genesis 37 verse 3 says, now Israel loved Joseph. Now imagine this. Israel or Jacob was the son of Isaac. And Israel never learned from the mistakes of his father. Because it says here, loved Joseph more than whom? All. Now imagine Joseph has 12 sons. And he loved one more than the rest. Why? Because Joseph is the son of Rachel, whom he loved so much. From his 4 wives. I'm glad I only have one. Isn't good, Brother Minister Johnson? I cannot even compare and I cannot complain, Brother Ken. Now the problem here is the same thing happened again. Israel loved Joseph more than his 11 children. And because of that, in Genesis verse 4, 37 verse 4, it says, and when his brethren saw, now what happened? What happened with this story? Again, let me go back in verse 3 and complete it, finish reading it. Because he was the son of his old age, and of course, he's the daughter of Rachel, and he made him a coat of many colors. Now, since he can sew and make a clothing, why not just make 12? Why just one? That's why in verse 4 it said, when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, you know, loving one son more than the rest is one thing. Showing it physically is another thing. Nobody knows that Israel loved Joseph more if he did not make the coat of many colors, isn't it? And because of that, what happened? They hated him and could not even speak peaceably unto him. My, poor Joseph. Mercy. Because of that, Joseph needs to go what he needs to go through. Suffers a lot. Imagine, he was hated by his 11, except probably Benjamin, which is his own youngest brother. Maybe the 10 hated him. And it's the reason why, imagine, you are going to kill your own brother because of your hate? That's their aim, isn't it? It was so happened that Reuben intervened and say, hey, we cannot kill our brother. We're just going to sell him. Isn't it? Though we know the story, but the thing is, Joseph should not go through those sufferings. You cannot even imagine that your own brother hated you, wants to kill you at the end of the day. So imagine the agony that Joseph had when he was in the land of Egypt. Thinking and knowing that he cannot go back because he was hated by his brothers. And the only fault that he got is he was loved more by his dad. Again, parents, don't put chaos in your house. Hallelujah. That's why it is written in James chapter 2 verse 9 that it says, if you have respect to persons, especially in your own children, you commit sin and are convinced of the law as transgressors. Poor Jacob, Joseph, should I say. Hallelujah. Now, let's go to Samuel. Now, here comes another story. In 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 12. Now, we are done with Genesis. We are done with those patriarchs. Now, let's go to Eli. You know Eli? Okay. Eli is the high priest during his time when these things happen. And 1 Samuel chapter 2 verse 12, it says, now the sons of Eli, so Eli has sons, should I say, and look at what it was described here. His sons were sons of Belial. Now, if these children, these boys are sons of Eli, why the Bible describes them as sons of Belial? Because his sons are rebellious sons. Lawlessness. They could not even do a good thing. And they are the sons of the high priest. Now, imagine you have your son, and you're thinking that your son is going to be like you as a priest of the Most High. Isn't that so comforting and so joyful that my son will be a pastor like me? Yeah, that is true. But you found out that your son is not good. As a matter of fact, they even describe as the sons of rebellious. Belial, lawlessness angel. That's what is the meaning of Belial here. And the thing is, they don't know Elohim. Meaning they're not doing the ways of Father Yah told them to do. But the irony is this. Now, here's the irony. Knowing your sons are evil is one thing. What you will do is another thing. If you are the father, what will you do? Because in verse 22, take a look at this. Now Eli was very old and heard all that his sons did unto all Israel. So Eli is not innocent of what his children is doing. He knows it all. But take a look at what he did. How they lay with the woman that assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Now, way back then, you blaspheme the tabernacle of Father Yah, right in there. You should be killed already. But did Eli order the killing of his children? No. He just chastised them. Now, Eli created chaos in his own house because he loved more his children than the one who appointed him to be the high priest. Now, if all your blessings, all your inheritance is come from